She gasped for air, choking on dirt, convinced death was the only escape, until a hand pulled her up from the darkness. I was buried alive. He thought I was dead, started as the ultimate betrayal. Fiona Hale, the golden girl next door, trusted him. She loved him. He promised forever. He carved her name into his skin, whispered her future, bought her a ring in secret. But beneath the romance lay a darker pulse. Her fiancé, Victor Croft, wasn't who she thought. One rainy night, arguments escalated. She accused him of lying about everything, his job, his debts, his past. He smiled and said, "You're overreacting." At 2 a.m., she heard footsteps in the backyard. Through the glass door, she saw Victor with a shovel. He lectured her, "You made me do this." She screamed. He struck. Everything went black. When she awoke, it was pitch black, cold, confined. She thrashed, roots against her cheek, dirt in her mouth. Panic crashed over her. Water dripped. Air got thinner. She realized she was alive, yet certain the world thought she was dead. Tears blurred her way upward until her fingers punched through soft soil. Sunlight stung her eyes. Someone screamed. She clawed until her arms emerged. A neighbor who'd heard her muffled cries backed away in horror at the coffin-like crate. Image, a coffin, but open. She stumbled from the grave pit in Victor's backyard. The police arrived. He was kneeling by the hole, innocently calling her name. She ran off. He lied. Fiona was wobbly but alive. The media exploded. Fiancé buries bride-to-be alive. The headline screamed. But how could he be arrested with no proof of intent? He claimed she staged it for attention. She claimed she didn't even remember until she woke. Suspicion swirled. In interviews, Victor was calm, rehearsed, tearful. But some saw cracks. A security camera from a neighbor's shed captured him carrying a wooden crate. The timestamp matched her disappearance. The jury would later hear that footage. Fiona recovered slowly, physically and emotionally. She couldn't sleep. Dreams of dirt, darkness, breath escaping. She became restless, haunted, but she became determined too. She learned every detail of the law, every aspect of evidence. Meanwhile, Victor kept up appearances on social media. Romantic tributes, staged grief, tearful stories of hopeless search. He filmed a video that went viral. Where did my Fiona go? He raised money for missing person flyers. Sympathy poured in. It infuriated her. He was playing the grieving lover while the real one was in trauma therapy. 2 months later, intimate messages leaked. A drunk mistake. He called her Fiona's cold body. Friends said it was accidental, but the wording was chilling. She found it. She pressed play on the voice memo. "I buried her, but they think she's gone." She collapsed. He deleted the messages quickly. The leak came from an insider who realized Victor's guilt. FBI confirmed fragments of fabric matching her dress were found at the gravesite under his fingerprints. Evidence he couldn't explain away. Then came the trial. The courtroom was electric. Fiona testified. She described panic underground, the darkness, the itch of roots, the stench of manure. She cried when she told the jury how she believed every breath might be her last. She watched Victor flinch at every detail. Witnesses testified. The neighbor who heard muffled cries, the forensic team who found soil under her nails consistent with Victor's backyard. The jury listened, all women on the panel. They saw the stark contrast, Victor performative grief versus Fiona's raw trauma. On closing arguments, the prosecutor looked at him and said, "He thought she was dead. She wasn't. And now he's nothing but a coward made by his own fantasies." The verdict came quickly. Guilty of attempted murder. He was sentenced to 25 years. Victor sat silent when the verdict was read. Fiona felt both relief and numbness. Justice had been served, but her life was forever changed. In the aftermath, Fiona started a foundation, Buried Not Broken. She advocates for survivors of emotional and physical betrayal. She speaks publicly about gaslighting and manipulation, about how love can turn sinister when control becomes obsession. She met others buried by their relationships in different ways. Silent abuse, financial control, even literal containment. She connects survivors in support groups. She uses her story to teach warning signs: isolation, obsessive gestures at mass entitlement, grand apologies that precede the violence. In interviews, she reads a quote she once heard from media: "He buried her alive, but for stillness." She responds, "I woke up, I fought back, and I'm unstoppable." She doesn't hate love anymore. She respects it. She warns, just because someone says your name softly doesn't mean they care. Words can bury you as easily as dirt. Dramatic irony? Plenty. Victor tattooed her name on his chest as a monument, but every tattoo became a marker for suspicion. The monogamous promises became evidence. The grief posturing became motive. He thought performing sorrow would keep suspicion away, but it drew more. And when she clawed out of the earth, he was left kneeling in front of cameras, but without the truth. He thought he'd buried her completely. She remained. She thrived. The lesson is clear. Love built on ownership, not respect, can kill you. Justice isn't always a headline. It can come from a jury or from a person clawing out of literal graves. Fiona walked out of the darkness. She walked into her life again. And Victor lives behind bars, not because she pretended to die, but because she refused to stay there. If this story shook you, don't stay silent. Leave a comment. How would you react if you were buried alive? Hit subscribe for more stories where real people survive the darkest betrayals.